So now you're going to see how I built the Snowplow bike. Well, me and my buddy. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so you can find out when new videos are released. They come out every Thursday. So this is the plow bicycle, and this is why I chose it. It's 3 wheels, so I've got plenty of balance. It has the room in the back for the sand spreader, because I'm going to spread sand while I plow. And yes, it's going to be a hell of a workout to get to work carrying all that extra weight. The bike itself is probably 30 plus pounds easily. So yeah, it's going to be a heck of a workout. But guess what? No one else is clearing the trail for us commuters. So Maverick's going to. There you go. Now this bike has been sitting in storage for about a year. And as you can tell, tires are flat, fenders are out of place, things in general disrepair. So I've got some work to do, and I want to get rid of that obnoxious old lady seat. I've got some work to do though before we get her ready to go. However, the concept is coming along, and this is what she'll look like once we get moving down the road. Make no bones about it. This isn't some magical A-Team montage where a couple of songs later I've got welded brackets and angles and everything looks beautiful and magically bullets fly everywhere and no one dies. No, this is a hack job I did in a weekend. So you need to understand that it's not going to be pretty, but it works. This is my assistant, the tiny mensch, who is hiding from the camera because apparently he doesn't want to be on film. Oh. I had done a series of designs and things that needed to be thought about for the project while I was on a plane up to New England for Christmas with my family. And I was looking at originally a handle with a pin setup and the spring internal to the handle. As you've already seen, I'm going to use the extension springs, but the concept is the same. It'll be held in place both when it's raised and lowered. And then working on the lighting system, I already replaced the seat. I'm still tuning the bike, getting the sand spreader, all that stuff. So that was some of the stuff I worked on while I was on the plane or in the diner up in New England. It even already comes with attachment points for the handle, which we're actually going to use for the blade control in the upper half. And we'll probably drill 2 smaller ones down here for where they'll attach to the front fork at the bottom. But these ones will attach to arms that go up near the top. And that's the blade that's going to clear the path for us. Well, it's gotten a little bit colder here since the last part of the video I've been recording, so we're going to continue the process of putting the blade on the front of this future plow bike and making it operable to clear the trail so that those of us who want to commute and not pollute the earth can do so, regardless of what the Park Service thinks. And the reason the blade is at one angle, I looked at doing actually a V-shaped plow. But the problem is, of course, on the left side, as you go down the trail in America, you push all that slush into the middle. And then as you come back up the trail, you push all that slush back to the other side, and a bunch of stuff stays in the middle. It becomes ice, and it's dangerous for people. So we're going to go with strictly one angle, taking the snow off to the side only. And then as you ride back up the trail, you'll clear the other side, and everything will be good. So mounting has become an issue. How to mount the plow effectively and allow it to articulate up and down if I want to raise or lower it. So I decided to put a pannier holder, which usually goes in the back of the bike, in this case on the front. Of course, these screw holes, the nuts that go in them, were only barely big enough to put these things on originally and would have no room to be able to mount this or anything else. So what I ended up doing, fortunately, in the stuff that came with the blade, I have these, which will work perfectly. In fact, they're probably too long, but that's okay. My next problem was, of course, the brackets were great, so that I could put a bracket basically vertically from here. And that will allow me to both to have a place to mount the plow blade arms to the frame or the fork, but not have to worry about it interfering with things. So that's going to make that work. But of course, these holes on these are just slightly too small for the screw, the bolts. So naturally, I have to drill those out. So I'm going to have to do that. But what this should do is it should allow me to be able to have the mount on front and use this point as the point where I mount the springs to the handle. That would allow me to pull it up and stretch the springs when the blade comes up, and then let go of it and have it snap back with the springs pulling it back from that point, setting the blade on the ground. At least that's the intent. We'll see how it goes. But this should allow me a nice solid mounting point for both the upper and lower arms of the blade. The bottom ones to the bottom of the fork, the upper ones to this pannier stand that'll be on the front of the bike. It will also allow me a place to put extra lights or things like that if I needed them, and I probably will want something mounted here and here with extra light to allow me to see the road ahead that I'm plowing, because most of the time I'm going to be commuting, it's going to be early and dark. So I don't want surprises at bridge abutments and things like that that would cause damage and or to the bike and or me. So there you go. Right, so in utilizing the bars, which I did decide to go with, I had thankfully some flat 1/8 inch metal I cut down to provide reinforcement. I'm going to do one on the bottom as well, and we'll get rid of that other bracket and we'll be cooking with gas. Oh yeah. Yes, excellent. Excellent. All right, here we are. This is the bike as we're at on late Sunday night after day 3. You'll notice the plow blade is mounted high because my mounting system is figured out. I've already tested that, shaken the hell out of it. Seems to be working just fine. So that's good news. That took a lot of jury rigging. It's really, really poor. And of course you can see I didn't necessarily measure things properly. I had forgotten that the hook, when the bottom hook rests down, needed to be under here. So that caused the problem. Coming to the back, we have the spreader, which took me forever to get mounted. This entire thing had to be rigged up because sadly, when you're living off the land at Home Depot and not actually designing parts, cutting, making your own welds, etc., you end up with a lot of things that are just a little off. Like you see here, the bolts fit fine here, but because of the way they cut the pattern and drill the holes, I would be off on the frame here, and you can see I don't have enough room where the normal hole would be to be able to drill without breaking into this hole as well. So that wasn't going to work and keep it structurally sound, so I used the U-bolts. So a lot of that, that's what's taken this project so long. I should have already been done, but it's been such a pain in the ass. And that's where the wheels were for the spreader, and as you can see, there's no way to connect it here, so I'll probably end up with an electric motor solution if I can't think of something ingenious overnight. But the same thing happens again and again. It's just like I had to rig this whole thing up right here to make this bar, just to get this thing sit somewhat level. I had to put angles in, and then luckily I was able to reuse the wheel arms from the plow blade when it was a shovel to provide bottom support for this. So this thing isn't going anywhere now, even with the weight of sand in it. So that's very cool. The other problem I have, the last problem to solve really, before I can at least make this part work, is getting where I cut the wheels off to work and spin on its own while I'm going. I will have to probably put an electric motor on that because, as you can tell, there's nothing in the frame really that would allow me line up to turn with the wheel. But here's where we're at after 3.5 days of trial and error and a lot of cutting and a lot of screwing things up. And so here she is in all her glory, the Franken bike. That is my Snowplow bicycle. Got the spreader on the back. Managed to figure out finally the hook system for raising and lowering the blade while I'm using it or not. Still got work to do on the spreader. Still want to add a box back here, both for extra sand and for commuting to store clothes and things like that when I'm going to work and I'm plowing at the same time. But this is it. 3 days, three and a half days of trial and error. A lot of trial and error, a lot of trips to Home Depot, but she's working so far. I'm very, very close.
Excellent.
Help spread cycling love by hitting that like and subscribe button. YouTube's algorithm only shares our content with other people who like cycling or want to get into it if you hit like and subscribe. So hit the buttons and help share. This episode's bill approved.